Can local production, local content win new viewers and keep the old ones?
Yes, we're finding that out every day. And I think, first of all, I think the most important thing for people to remember is that the big gate that content couldn't get through before and that people couldn't accent was how to get it. Now everything is, not everything, but most things are streaming. So you think about all the different people, every day thousands of new people get a new phone in their hand, and what's on that phone? A blank screen. And how do you fix that blank screen? With content, right? So we need an enormous amount of content. And I just finished a show that was in partnership with NBC International, RTL, and TF1. It's a new series, and interestingly, even though it was made in the United States, with this partnership, it aired in Australia first, then Europe, and now it's going to come to the United States. So I think that's a new business model that more and more networks and studios in the United States and around the world are going to adapt to. And no pilots, just straight to series like you do in Europe.
What about the language barrier? I know it's easier for viewers, for consumers in the States to watch and to accept something that's being done in English, of course. What about, I don't know, Turkish or Croatian?
Well, if you look at reality television, which has an enormous following in the United States, because there are different dialects and because it's a cheaper made format and the sound quality is not as great, a lot of times they have lower thirds on the screen. So people are now used to, they didn't used to be, but they're now used to watching television and reading simultaneously on the screen. And so when these foreign films come in, it's easier now in the American culture for people to adapt. And contrary to what's being said in the administration, over in the United States, people are absolutely fascinated with cultures around the world. And it seems that cultures around the world are also interested in the United States. I think one great example, even though it's not television, is a great example because film is no different than television, really, when you look at the actual content of it, the entertainment, which is Coco, which they made in the United States on Pixar. It just broke $800 million at the box office. All around the world with the distribution and DVDs, it's going to hit $1 billion. And even in China, where ghosts are taboo and the material is about ghosts, it still got premiere screenings and is a big hit over there. So culture, as long as it's a great story, now that you have the capability to get through the gateway of how to access it, it'll travel anywhere.
And that's the key thing. Content is king. We all know that. Yes. How do you find, where do you find, how do you get people to give you, to present to you a good content that's going to work universally, globally?
Sure. Sometimes it's working with a creator, writer, and having that person, we work together and come up with an idea. Sometimes that person brings the idea to me. Sometimes through data and analytics and looking at the market and where the holes are, I come up with ideas and go after writers. And then sometimes it's interesting, you mentioned Turkey earlier, because I bought at a film festival, I bought a format from Turkey 2 years ago, sold it to ABC Networks, Fox Studio, it was called The End in Turkish, but we called it Runner. And it translated, I mean, we made a lot of changes to it to connect to, I think, a larger audience than just Turkey, but it translated beautifully, and I'm very proud of it. And I loved working with, the Turkish producer.
Turkish drama is huge in Croatia for the last 10 years, so we know a lot about Turkey, and we learned a lot about Turkish culture.
Right.
Yeah, so it's great. Thank you very much.